Welcome to today's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by George Parker, co-CEO of VenSource Capital. Thanks for joining me, George.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, absolutely, man. And I love your background, by the way.
Well, thanks. Like a lot of things, you can rent backgrounds. I can rent a suit. The Zoom thing is it's quite something, huh?
Absolutely. You can be anywhere. You can almost be anyone. I can't grow the mustache that you have, but I think there's a filter on Zoom where I could have a full goatee if
Oh,
I really wanted.
cool. Cool.
So.
Well, you think you can do this with with, with a bald head?
It's amazing what software can do, man. I can try.
Okay.
Well, once again, George, thanks a lot. And for those people in equipment finance who might not know a lot about you, do you mind just introducing yourself and your career in equipment finance?
Sure. I've actually been in the industry for a number of years. I started my career out of college back in the late 70s at the old Continental Illinois National Bank out in Chicago, and started off as a lending officer serving the finance and leasing industry. And so my initial territory was East Coast, where I met a lot of interesting characters that, a lot of them are not around. And also in the Chicago area. So Comdisco was one of our big customers. We had LFC out in Philadelphia. Of course, we had Sonny Monison, who a lot of folks may not remember, but Debbie Monison is his daughter. And a lot of colorful characters that some are still in the industry, some have retired. So it was interesting. When I left the bank, I joined a customer in New York, a company called DPF Computer Leasing, and got a chance to learn the leasing business from the inside. I was VP Finance there. And within a couple of years, I and a couple of other guys started LTI, which is Leasing Technologies International. Not the new LTI, of course, which you were a part of. But our LTI originally started offering operating leases of computer equipment to Fortune 500 companies. And that went well for, I'd say, about 10 years. We had built a nice portfolio. We're covering the United States, most states, and had a good book of business. And then GE Capital, IBM Credit Corp, and some other large players with cheap money got into that business. And we had a choice to make whether we would stay in it or find something else. And so we gravitated towards the lower end of the credit spectrum and eventually got into the venture backed market, which is what we do now.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I got involved in the business. It was really by chance. I guess a lot of people get into it by chance. And because I was assigned to it when I was at the Continental Illinois, I got my introduction to the industry. And to be honest with you, I've been in love with the industry ever since.
No,
okay.
I hear that from more often than not when I ask people that question. It's like, I didn't go to school for this. I kind of stumbled across it. And I got in, it kind of sucked me in. And I love it, and I never want to leave.
Exactly.
So, VenSource Capital, 34 years at old LTI, I guess is that the appropriate way of saying it? And then VenSource, it's been around for
the story there is that three of us started LTI,
okay.
And Jerry Sproul, who's a few years older than myself and Arnie Hogler. That's my other co-CEO at VenSource and partner. Jerry wanted to retire about 7 years ago, and we needed to figure out a way to allow him to retire, give him liquidity, and allow the two of us to remain in the business. So we went out and found a capital partner and decided that the best route would be to wind LTI down, set up VenSource Capital, which pretty much does the same thing. We took employees from LTI. We bought out the assets of LTI and rebranded the company as VenSource. And so that's what we do now. And we VenSource today primarily focuses on venture-backed companies in the United States. Transaction sizes in the $1 to $5 million range, and providing financing for critical use equipment. Okay, usually under 36-month terms. Okay. And so it's an interesting industry. For me, it fulfills a lot of the things that I'm interested in: technology, finance, and so it's been a good fit for me personally.
Well, I guess let's while we're on top of that, I mean, or topic, have you? I think I probably first met you at my first conference in 2005, which would have been an EAEL Expo. That was
yes.
Also I met Laverne, and I believe you were the first person that Laverne was introduced to in equipment finance, if my memory jogged.
That's possible. Okay, that is possible. I know I met you guys around that time, and I had been in the old EAEL, okay, as a board member for a few years. And I was there at the time that the discussion came up to merge with the UAEL. Okay, so I was on that merger committee to get the two organizations together. And it was somewhere around that time, before that time, that I met you guys, but I got to know you guys better during and after the merger. I think you sat on the board of NIFA for a while.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the original board, but pretty much soon thereafter.
Yeah, and so I was on the original board.
Yeah.
And so, met so many wonderful people. I knew a lot of people out east, but got a chance to meet a lot of folks in the Midwest and out west. It was just a great opportunity to meet folks. And I know you're not asking me this question, but I want to volunteer something as it relates to these organizations.
Sure.
One of the things that has served my business, okay, and served me professionally, is getting involved with the associations, serving on the boards, volunteering to participate with having the events, serving on committees, and in the process, not only seeing other people, and how they handle leadership, and getting their ideas, but the contacts for getting new business, for finding out how to do things, for finding out what's coming down the pike that may be trouble or maybe opportunities. And so it's just the main organizations that are there for equipment finance are fantastic. And if there's anybody out there that's a young person looking to get involved and to make progress in their careers, I highly recommend that.
No, and that's exactly where I was going to go with some of that. So thank you, because that's the one thing that I've learned, and kind of one of our focal points of doing these with industry, I guess pioneers as yourself, is it's that true thing, is what you put into this industry is what you get out of it. So when you join the associations, volunteer, put the time in, and it will come back and pay itself back exponentially.
Exactly. One of the people you did mention, Chris Walker. Okay, I had the opportunity to serve with him, on the board, and just a fantastic guy. You mentioned Laverne, okay, who's, I guess, is coming out with a new book.
Yep.
Got a chance to sit with her and hear her story. Of course, I shared my own background with her. I've had some negative experiences also, but just meeting different people doing different things, and every one of them is someone worth meeting. So it's just been a fantastic experience with the organizations.
So what's it been like the last 12 to 18 months not being able to get in front of those people? I mean, you've had 37 years now, 38 years almost in equipment.
Yeah.
So what has this done like for you personally?
Well, there's good news and bad news. I'll start with the bad news. The bad news is that I've found out being isolated is not my best thing. Okay. And so that's been tough. Okay. Now, fortunately, my wife is a professional and she was able to work from home. Okay. And I work from home. Okay. And we kept each other company, and, in terms of being able to socialize, which is great, actually seeing a human being. Okay? So that's the good news. I got out a little bit, to some gatherings, but not much. Okay. So that's the bad news. The good news is that our industry segment didn't skip a beat.
Right.
Okay. The venture area actually had one of its best years in 2020, and 2021 is just off the charts. Okay. The first quarter. So I think the first quarter of this year is the highest level of venture financing ever. Okay.
Interesting.
And it's a lot of it is mega deals. So they're deals that we don't get involved with. Okay. Because these are $100 million, $200 million equity transactions. Okay.
Right.
We tend to get involved with this smaller transactions. And of course, we're offering equipment financing. So our deals are in the, $1 to $5 million range, but there's been reasonable activity there as well. So that's the good news about it. And so, I built a lot of my connections early and throughout my career. So operating remotely isn't a killer. Getting new business from new folks, that's more challenging in this kind of environment.
No, I agree. I mean, it's so much of this industry is handshake and relationship driven that
Exactly.
I agree. I mean, existing relationships, yeah, you turn on the camera, you can have those maybe happy hours here and there, and it's almost like, it wasn't 12 months ago. And that's what's awesome about the friendships we've gained. But it's, as a sales professional to this industry for 17 years, the new stuff where you don't have that relationship, that's where it gets a little trickier.
Exactly. That's the tricky part.
But you find ways to pivot and try to leverage technology to bridge that gap. Because at least a good part about that is chances are the other people don't have those relationships either.
That's right. That's right. Now, this Zoom thing, this is fantastic.
It's great. The one thing I was going to ask, so my wife and I also, well, she has a clinic, so she's a nurse practitioner, so she has to go to the clinic a few days a week, which is fantastic because we both are on Zooms all the time. And as much as it's nice to have that person there instead of being in isolation, it's also
right.
can be frustrating because you're just like, oh my God, like you're talking, they can hear you talking. If you don't have the right space, it's just like.
That's right. That's right. So my wife is a nurse also, by the way.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
But she's not a practitioner. She's a team manager for this new kind of healthcare where they do it. They come into your house and after you're out of the hospital and they provide different services. Where she has a team that does that.
That's interesting.
So
That's interesting.
yeah, it's
So Brooks Company, George,
yeah,
does all the mobile medicine across the valley in Phoenix. So
similar.
it's very similar. So she
Yeah,
has other NPs and doctors that go to homes of people who can't get to an office or a clinic because they're either homebound or they just were discharged. So
it sounds very similar.
it's really coincidental.
They're not. I hope they're not working for the same company. Her company is called Navi Health.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, this was a company that she founded. I think they're 6 years old now. IHMS.
Fantastic.
But regardless, I'd like to maybe have to shoot you their contact information on the side because maybe they can share some best practices.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's fantastic. Congratulate her for me.
Well, and appreciate all the service that your wife did, throughout these times. I know it was really hard for Brooke to have to do mobile visits.
Exactly. Exactly.
That was tough. But yeah, so what I have on in my background behind me here, speaking of Laverne, is kind of the promo for our upcoming Equipment Finance Cares Minneapolis. I don't know if you can see it that well. I'll send you the information.
I see Laverne there.
But yeah, I mean, she's our featured speaker. There's actually our events on June 15th, and then NIFA has an event right afterwards. So I'm excited for the in-person networking again.
That should be fantastic. That should be fantastic.
And one of the things, George, I've been asking everyone, on these is tell me a little fun fact about yourself that people may or may not know.
Okay, here's one. Okay, for 27 years, okay, I've been in a cart group. 12 guys. I've known them for these 27 years. Okay, we don't allow the ladies. It's a guys' night out. Okay, we rotate each month to the person's house, and you host it, serve dinner, and we play bid whist, which a lot of people don't know how to play. It's a game. It's a version of whist, where you bid and you have you have a couple of rounds, and if you lose 2 rounds, you have to get up, then somebody else sits down. A lot of fun, and it's just been a fantastic social type of situation for me. We have a couple of judges in our group. There are a couple of doctors, a couple of nonprofit folks that are in the group, and then a few business folks. So, you get a good chance to find out what's going on out there. When COVID hit, we got the latest on COVID from the doctors. They were just up on everything. When we were going through the election cycle, we have a couple of attorneys that are plugged in, politically, so they know what's happening out there. So it's just been a lot of fun, being in this group for so many years. I try to give them, something on what's happening out there in the business environment, especially, with equipment finance, which is a, significant industry.
Absolutely. It's almost like the pulse of what's going on in the financial sector, which is.
Exactly. So that's been fun for me. We weren't able to do it during the pandemic, but instead we had every 3 weeks Zoom calls. So we didn't do the cards, but we did the discussion part, which was great for all of us.
And I'm gonna have to Google what that game is because I have never heard about it. So I apologize.
Okay, it's you know what bridge is like, right?
Yeah, I've heard of that and I've seen it, but I've never played it. Like I grew up with
It's
that.
a scaled down version of bridge, although Midwest was actually played before bridge was. Bridge came later, but it's a scaled down version of that.
Got it.
There's
Got it.
scoring. There, you bid for the kitty. There, things like that.
See, I'm a simpleton, I guess. We have a poker group here in this community, and it's just hold'em.
Well, we know that game too. we know how to play that one too, but we don't play it.
If someone annoys you, we just put them all in all the time, and then eventually they just go.
I hear you.
All right, George. Well, thanks again for your time today, man. It's a pleasure catching up with you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This is a fantastic idea that you have to do these chats. I've watched a few of them and learned a lot about people that I just know casually. So it's been great.
No, it's great, and it's trying to it's obviously trying to bridge that gap when you can't get in front of people. But I think just based on the feedback that we're getting, I'm going to continue to do them for the foreseeable future because it's also one of those things that allows you to connect to people in a more casual manner and to learn more.
I agree. And look, it's a real service. I mean, you may not realize it because you're doing it, just get started with it, but it's something that wasn't being done, and it's a service that gives people a chance to see a different side of people in the industry, okay, and find out more about what they do. So it's good.
No, and thank you. And other than the fact that when I watch these or potentially do some edits, I have to stare at myself for 15 to 30 minutes, however long they are. That's the most frustrating part for me is when I sit there and I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like you said that.
Right.
Around that. But outside of that, no, I have a lot of fun. And it's interesting when I can do these. I mean, we've met several times, but I've tried them with also people that I've never met before just to kind of see how that flow goes. And
how does that go?
I don't know where some of the things are going. However, what I like about the people in this industry is they're very personable. It's relatable. At the end of the day, we're all equipment finance professionals, and
right.
It's not sharing trade secrets. It's just recommendations or ways that we can, put our thought leadership hats on and try to make the industry a great place to work for years to come.
I agree.
All right, George. On that note,
okay.
Off here, sir, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.